Welcome to Reflections, a program where we discuss values and virtues for the transformation of the individual and the society in general. I am Father George Ehusani, and I have with me in the studio once again, Professor Abiodun Adeniyi. Prof, you are welcome.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Prof, the last time we met, we discussed your inaugural lecture, which is how your village is following you.
Yes, Father.
And in the course of reading your inaugural lecture, I also saw the elements of some deleterious impact of the internet and the phone, and then perhaps being with the phone, with the internet all the time, how it can have some effects on the individual, the pressures it can bring, to the extent that if you even want to unbelong, if you want to, in the traditional society, you can leave the village.
Yes.
No consequence, no serious consequence.
Yeah. But now it's difficult. So
you are immersed in it.
You are immersed in technology. You are enveloped by technology.
So imagine a young person who is on Twitter, who is on TikTok, who is on Instagram, who is on Facebook, who is on WhatsApp, and each day it needs to catch up, catch up with what's happening in each one of these.
Yes.
The challenge is that there will be digital overload.
Yeah, and of course that could create some health crisis.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm sure
that's what I have in mind.
Demonstrated now.
Yes.
But I think we should also look at it within the context of how development can actually bring about some advantages and some disadvantages.
As each time.
Every time it comes. If you look at the evolution of communication, I like to talk about it sometimes. Earlier on, Father, you talked about the Industrial Revolution.
Yes.
In the wake of the Industrial Revolution, we had revolution in print culture.
Yes.
Where the newspaper culture grew.
Yes.
The book culture
16th
also
century,
grew.
yes.
Fine. From then on, of course, the telegraph also came. And after the telegraph, we probably had the line.
Yes.
The line lasted for a long time.
That
telephone that we used to...
the rotary. They call it the rotary phone.
Yeah. Then eventually we had the black and white television.
Yes.
That one, we celebrated it for a very long time. Colored came in. Then after colored, the satellite broadcasting along the line. The lines between these evolutions, they are not probably sharp.
Yes.
They are interwoven. Then, of course, the internet came through the instrumentality of the military, the U.S. military, in collaboration with the University of California. Then the internet was coming. Then, of course, it was supposed to be a military affair, but, of course, thank God for Tim Berners-Lee, World Wide Web, it liberalized it such that you and I can now use it.
Yes.
And it's now probably growing. But you see, in each of these development, there were downsides. Just like other forms of technology. The motor car came with crashes. Aircraft came with crashes as well. Humanity is constantly trying to improve the technology of the aircraft. But much as they are trying, human error is still a problem, irrespective of the near perfection of mechanical error. And of course, most of the time we cannot relate, say it's an act of God. It's often human error. Downsides of technological evolution. Downsides of development, indices, features of development will come with its downside. One downside of the one we're talking about now is the fact that, there's increased virtualization. But it's even more dangerous, when people who are below the age of suffrage are inordinately exposed to it. Father, I'll be preaching to the choir if I'm telling you about tabula rasa. Here we have minds still growing that are yet to be formed.
The brains are not yet fully formed.
Yeah, but now those minds are being prematurely infiltrated by all kinds of notions, ideas, and sometimes we have perverts, entering into their minds and capturing their imagination at a very young, age where the mind is still to mature. And this, it can be very, very problematic. And that's why I'm looking at it within the context of a downside. But should humanity not be celebratory irrespective of that? Should humanity rest on its oars irrespective of that? Considering the many benefits of the technology.
Yes, considering the many benefits.
Yes, and that's why, Father, just give me a minute, sir. And that's why we sometimes talk about technology determining our ways, our processes. Again, we'll be talking about technological determinism. But to what extent should technology determine this stuff? Yes, with adults, there can be some level of moderation and control, even though they too are susceptible to undue habituation. So if adults are susceptible, how much the younger ones? Which is why your point is valid, sir.
We actually talk of addiction,
Yes.
internet addiction,
Yes.
and that a lot of these algorithms are built in such a way that they actually addict people, because the builders make their money from how long you are scrolling, from how long you stay on the platform. So, because adverts are, are coming in and so on and so forth, and then they make their money from those adverts, and those adverts are pushed before you and so on.
Yes.
So there is addiction. You go to Facebook and you receive, you go to your friend's post, and then you see his friend's post and his friend's post, on and on and on and on, endlessly.
The snowball effect. Yes.
Yes. So there's addiction on the one hand. On the other hand, experts are talking about the screen and how the human beings are meant more to communicate face to face. We are social animals. And if people spend more time watching the screen than the time they spend interacting with fellow human beings, it begins to have negative effect on their persons.
Because it can cause depression.
Yes.
Solitude is definitely a dangerous thing, and of course, it's again more associated with diasporic communities where they are often lonely, they are often in a state of melancholia, as the case could be. But away from them again is to look at how technology, apart from distance, can make this happen, because it can encourage you being lost. Where you are being vacant, feeling vacant, even though you are situated in a place, you are interacting in the virtual. You lose your immediate environment. I've seen instances where people even crack it as a joke. You see 4 or 5 people are seated around the table,
and they are
all busy on their phone. They are not interacting with each other, but interacting with people who are not physically present.
Yes.
Which is quite really antisocial. Every time in meetings, people quarrel. I mean, the moderators struggle to get people to switch off their phones.
Yes.
Because yes, they are in the meeting, but
they are the meeting, but really not completely.
There's competition for their time through the instrumentality of their phone that is wired to several places at the same time, either on different networks at the same time. So somebody else wrote a book on the times that we're in, how we're able to cope, and of course discipline will have to come in. Maybe the law, regulations will have to come in. Then of course some values and virtues and even cardinal objectives have to be strengthened. And it is gratifying, like we said off camera, that some nations, some countries are actually responding. Beginning. Sometimes you even see countries, we may say they tend to the extreme, but there are reasons why they moderate these things. I'm talking about countries like China, like Russia to some extent, but even the theocratic states, how they moderate the social media, because the infiltration can actually be inordinate, and if it's not, because it is inordinate, because it's some kind of excessive freedom, has led to a situation of descriptions that were commonly known as misinformation, disinformation, malinformation, and infodemic. I will know the danger it can cause. The technology has given rise, to the rise, again, we can describe it that way, of closet psychopaths, closet nymphomaniacs that destroy people's character in the closets, in the hidden place of their rooms, and wherever, only on account of their possession of the smartphone.
I mean, it will take a lot of skill, a lot of thinking. I mean, you are a journalist, professionally a journalist, and somebody who has no training whatsoever in journalism becomes a social influencer and is releasing things every day.
And I made the point, Father, that look, in the traditional sense of journalism, there are so many layers.
Yes, you have
of
some editor,
checks
you have
before
the
a
editor,
story
you have-
goes out.
Yes.
The reporter files the story.
Yes.
File it. It goes first to the desk editor.
Yes.
From the desk editor to the news editor,
Yes.
in the traditional sense. From the news editor, maybe to the line editors, or
Yes.
maybe to the deputy editor.
Yes.
Then from there, finally to the editor. Then sometimes maybe to the editor. Look at those layers.
Yes.
Now, that's the traditional
Those are
layer.
checks and balances.
Oh my God. Now, first of all, even before then, Father, the reporter himself is cool enough,
Yes.
educated enough, knows what he's doing, knows how to do some level of pre-editing.
Yes.
Before even sending it to the desk
And I
editor.
mean self-censorship. first of all.
Absolutely. Now, but before we even, now, we're now in an age where we have somebody who is not schooled,
Yes.
who is not educated, who just gets a story item and dispense it
No
and,
checks,
and
nothing.
disseminates it. Ignoring, first of all, the person is ignorant. Secondly, all those layers of checks are absent. So while we are celebrating communication, the revolution in communication, we do not have to forget the downside as well, which is, the population of the information space, by how do I describe
Non-professionals,
it now?
by people who have not been-
by information that are less than salutary, by ignorance. There's a deluge of misinformation out
Yes.
there. Pieces of, if I want to be extreme, trash.
Yes.
Which is why if we talk about discernment, we talk about the need for continuous media literacy and the creation of awareness, for people not to believe things that they see hook, line, and sinker. Again, Father, it was one of the theories that told us about those days that the medium is a message. Belief
Yes.
was easier those days, Father, because when you believe, if I see something in channel A, I believe it.
Yes.
Because they will not come out with it if it is not true.
Yes.
But not anymore, Father.
Not anymore.
When something comes out from one source now, you want to wait for the second source.
Third
the
source.
third
I mean,
source,
you
the
worked
fourth
in,
source,
you worked in the
fifth
Guardian
source.
as a
Yes.
reporter. So in those days,
Yes.
we knew that the Guardian was a reputable newspaper.
Absolutely, yes.
So if you read in the Guardian in Nigeria or the Guardian of the UK,
Yes.
you know you are getting
Of
from
course.
a reputable
I remember
source.
Chief Ojo Madueke of blessed
Yes,
memory
yes.
used to describe the Guardian as like that he doesn't read the Guardian, he studies the Guardian, on account of his richness, or the care that it will take.
care it
And
takes
before
in
you
it.
even join the paper as a fresh graduate, you go through a special kind of training.
Yes.
I did that training, but your result from the university has to be solid in the first instance before they sign you on. And of course, I remember the first day my story was published in the Guardian, I celebrated.
Oh yes, now.
I celebrated for 3 days.
Oh,
you know.
yes.
I even forgot that I was supposed to go back to work. I was still celebrating that this was like a
Yes.
certificate for me.
Oh, yes.
And of course, I remember each place I went those days. Everywhere I went, I was regarded because I was reporting for
Because you are a reporter for the
paper
Guardian.
with an authority. Yeah, I was a reporter for the Guardian. But of course, we cannot talk about modern journalism in the way we're talking about the Guardian of old. The space has been obfuscated by people who prioritize speed over accuracy, who prioritize virality, over truth, who prioritize breaking news.
Especially when that virality is monetized.
Is monetized. People, and of course, so many kinds of clickbait all over the place. You want to draw people, generate a lot more algorithm, draw people to your site or whatever, so that you can get some monetary reward. So that has led to the decrease in the value of news.
Quality of
Quality
news.
and value of news. And before you believe something, you must check, double check, and check again. Otherwise, you're going to be misled.
As we move towards the end of this, let's still talk more on the mental health dimension.
Yes.
A lot of people are overwhelmed. Unfortunately, they cannot come out of their platforms, but they are overwhelmed. Like I said,
I think in this discipline, sir,
it needs discipline.
it needs a lot of discipline, lots of personal training. Maybe that's where your institute
training
becomes very, very useful. Your institute, in my opinion, is concerned about self-development, understanding the inner self, the behavior of human being, and of course the spiritual stroke psychosocial relationship of human action and inactions. Very, very critical. If a person is not able to control the self, you cannot control whatever you see around you. If you don't have a trajectory, you are likely to fall for everything.
Yes.
I'll give myself an example without being immodest. I'm not saying that my own pattern is the best, but that's my approach to it. I'm probably just use maybe to WhatsApp alone, and maybe my email. I know there are others. I have other accounts, and until recently, when I had a social media manager, somebody who volunteered to be there, I should have a social media account. I had the Facebook account, but I was not active there.
Yes.
But because she has revived it now, Facebook, Twitter. Where is the time, Father?
Yes.
Because if you
are going to be productive,
oh my God! Even the WhatsApp that
Yes.
you are exposed to, Father. If you spend time from morning to evening looking at all the groups contributing, you can never do anything.
you can wake up and there are 100 messages waiting for you.
You can't do anything.
How can you?
So discipline has to be there. Choose a time, and sometimes people just end up creating groups and putting
without your consent.
Without your consent.
Yes.
And what do you do? Because you respect the person, you don't want to pull out. So you just remain there.
I have found myself like that, and in a few of them,
Yes.
I discovered that you can mute notification.
Yeah, maybe that's what. That's what
So I don't come out,
Yeah.
but I muted notification so that.
No, there are some WhatsApp groups I belong to. I've never contributed.
Yes.
So when I just see this thing has piled up, I'll go to I'll select everything, or maybe I'll just delete everything or clear again, just to free my phone.
Your phone, yes.
Because where is the time?
Yes.
You are choked up every day. You have some personal milestones to cover, official things to do, social expectation.
And you are
so
in
the
school.
pressure is on us.
You are in school. You are vice chancellor. I sympathize with students these days.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I went to school, when we had no personal phones, when we had no distraction of internet, we didn't even have access to television much. So we had the whole day to work, to read. Now it is a struggle, even with postgraduate students, for them to read a book, to read 2 books for a course. It's a struggle.
Father, I think what your poser now, or your inquisition, is taking us to a discussion around artificial intelligence. It has become a fad. Those days we were talking about, we talk about internet earlier. We'll probably, during the period of internet, we'll talk about Google source materials. But now we're talking about AI generated materials. And of course, AI is an awesome technology, no doubt, can give you information in microseconds. It's a salute to technology, to invention, to science.
To human ingenuity.
Human ingenuity. But at the same time, it is indirectly, not just the use this time, but even learning, even education, if care is not taken, if there's no discipline. Yes, in the school system, the temptation to use it is very high, but we have some safeguards. Turnitin is there to discover it. And of course, if you, as a lecturer, as a professor, you are smart enough, you know what your student can do and what your student cannot do. But at the same time, you cannot ignore AI. And that's why we talk about responsible use of AI. Ethical use of AI.
Yes.
But it is not something that people should. It has a value.
Yes.
And the value is that it enhances productivity.
It's supposed to be a tool
for productivity.
Yes.
But people are misusing it.
Yes.
That's where another danger lies. That's where another danger lies. And that's where personal discipline also, that's where it comes in. So in all we do, Father, if the individual is not moderated, if you are not well guided, you are likely to miss it. Education is not just about the physical, the knowledge that that you have. It's also reflected in values and virtues.
Yes.
Back to your saying again, that you have imbibed.
Yes.
If your values are salutary, if they are below par, if your virtues, are marginal,
it will be reflected.
It will be reflected in your output.
Yes.
And of course, it's going to rub off on the society at large when a lot more people, have questionable values.
Yes.
Virtues that you cannot be proud of. So I think we need substantial public education. We may not necessarily talk about the structural education where people go to school to learn.
No. But public enlightenment in
some kind
different
of sensitization. And maybe it's an opportunity to call on government, to be responsive in this area. And these things are done in countries on a continuous basis.
Continuously, yes.
Not on a one-off episodic basis. You just do it today and you forget about it. No, it needs to be continuous. Especially in a country like us, like ours, where illiteracy level is still very high.
Yes.
Even among the literate, it's still a problem. Not to talk about people who don't even understand at all.
Talking about illiteracy, you know that one of the dangers of exposure, internet exposure, is that people leave themselves vulnerable to identity theft,
oh my God,
to all kinds of things,
yes.
because they are not able to take care for the digital footprints that they leave on internet.
I know some people who don't even go near them, and of course, I'm not sure anybody can completely avoid it because of disadvantages.
It has enormous advantages. But then people need to be trained on the guardrails.
The guardrails. That's where the continuous literacy program comes in. Some level of education, constant education, and the education may not necessarily even be the responsibility of government alone. What about
all of us?
The private sector.
All of us.
Yeah. And again, that's why I would say that you're actually doing a very good job. I just wish you success in what you're doing for you to expand it, because it's actually a significant aspect of life. I'm seeing it as a soft, intangible aspect of life, somewhat away from the physical. Again, it's not about your looks, your appearance, your knowledge, but what is inside you really also matter as much as what is outside of you.
We're talking about the education, media education, social media education, internet education, AI education. When that guy, Jonathan Haidt's book came out on the anxious generation, meaning the generation that have been brought up with internet and how it is affecting their mental health. I showed a short movie of the podcast in church to help my people to understand that this is a wonderful technology, but we need guardrails.
We have to be guided.
We have to be guided. Toddlers, take internet away from toddlers. Take Wi-Fi away from toddlers. Don't give toddlers iPhone or mobile phone that is connected to internet, because it means they will go anywhere
and see everywhere,
and
their mindset becomes virtualized.
It even affects their brain development.
Their mindset becomes very fleet, very unreal. So they lived in a world of imagination.
Artificiality.
A world of artificiality, cosmetism.
Yes.
A world that is also very dangerous for their growth, and a development in terms of personal movement. That is otherwise that is traditionally required of the average human being.
This is a topic that we need to have another session sometime.
No problem.
To come and discuss, because there are so many issues
associated. Anytime, Father, it's a privilege for you to invite me.
Anytime. So I have